And we've got plenty lined up for you here tonight, but at the very end of the bulletin we've got Kasenti, who's an amazing artist and producer. He's on standby and he will join us later on to tell us more about his musical journey. Now we've got plenty lined up for you here tonight. Do send us your feedback at TV47 Kenya across all social media platforms, but before that, let's take a look at tonight's top stories.
Tonight, Azimio presidential candidate
for us and those who did not vote for us, because this will be the government of Kenya.
The Nubian community in the country up in arms over what they say is denial to be given IDs.
Tuliapply wakaniambia nirudi siku fulani. Kurudi nikabidi wananiambia nirudi na mzazi wangu alikuwa shasafiri.
Despite not being newbies in Kenya.
For a Nubian, you need both parents' ID, grandparents' ID, vetting elders' affidavits, and any other document that the registrar might ask.
Welcome to the broadcast. Minimbesa is our sign language interpreter and I am Muthoni Maina. Starting off, Azimio One Kenya leader Raila Odinga has insisted that there was no clear winner in the recent concluded election, despite IEBC chairman Wafula Chebukati announcing Dr. William Samoei Ruto as the president-elect. While remaining upbeat of a favorable ruling at the court, Odinga says justice is a very important component of peace. Speaking when he met religious leaders, Raila says it was a shame for the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to be divided when the country needed leadership, as the religious leaders urged Kenyans to maintain peace.
5 days after the Electoral and Boundaries Commission announced William Samoei Ruto as the president-elect in the just concluded election, Azimio One Kenya leader Raila Odinga says the presidential winner is not known, as the election was highly contested and was marred with irregularities.
Naona wale marifari ambao walikuwa pale, moja mwingine nasema fulani ameshinda, mwingine nasema fulani ameshinda. Sasa haijulikani, na hii kitu inaweza kufanyika tu hapa kwetu Kenya. Maana yake kama wale ambao walipewa jukumu ya kusimamia uchaguzi wa taifa letu wanaweza kufanya maneno ile ya aibu vile ilifanyika, inaonyesha kwamba demokrasia yetu.
Further, the Azimio boss says IEBC Commission has put the country into shame following divisions within the commission when the country really needed leadership, urging Kenyans to maintain peace even as they head to courts to petition the presidential results.
Hii maneno ya kuaibisha katika ulimwengu mzima. Lakini tumesema sisi hatutaki kuona fujo au vurugu katika taifa letu. Nataka kuona amani ikidumu katika taifa letu. Kwa sababu tumeamua kutumia sheria na kuenda katika kwenye mbele mahakama kuu.
Raila made the sentiments after a prayer meeting with the clergy who visited his family for prayers. The men of cloth reiterated the importance of peace during this period as part of rebuilding the economy.
Ni moyo mwema kutamani nchi hii endelee na amani, endelee na haki, na zaidi wapigia kura tuliopiga kura tuna kwamba tujue ukweli wa mambo. Je, haki mambo yaliendaje, ukweli uliendaje?
They have decided to pursue truth and justice through the legal systems of the court, which is what we have been advocating and crying for, that instead of people going to the streets in Kenya, let us pursue to have our democracy in a way that we all know what happened and what transpired.
Azimio One Kenya are expected to present their petition in Supreme Court early next week. Elizabeth Motuku, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for that report. Now, the family of the slain IEBC official Daniel Musyoka, whose body was discovered on Monday at Kilobero Forest in Oloitoktok, now wants investigative agencies to speed up investigations over the mysterious murder of their kin. And as Elizabeth Atieno now reports, Musyoka's family now claims that the delayed investigations might be because the main perpetrator is a public figure or a senior leader.
In Mudetheni village, Mwala, Machakos County, we visit the home of the late Embakasi East returning officer Daniel Mbolu Musyoka. We find them preparing for the burial ceremony of their kin slated for the 26th of this month. A somber mood has engulfed this home ever since Musyoka's tragic demise. Here, pain, grief and sorrow are the order of the day, as is clearly evident in the cloud of sadness that has engulfed this home. For now, this family only finds solace in prayers, saying only God can help them acquire the much-needed justice since their efforts are proving futile each passing day.
Na ningeomba Mungu awalete tuwajue, ndio watoto wao ama wote wanaowategemea wajue, ndio wapate chakula mezani, baba yao ni muuaji.
Isiwe mtu amekufa, ameuliwa. Kiuliwa tuseme hiyo ndio ilikuwa mapenzi ya Mungu. Huyu mtu ambaye tumeachilia tukakosa kuchukua hatua, anaenda na huwa mwingine next. Mungu poleni sana, ilikuwa Mungu alitaka hivyo tu. Yes, sasa tukubali kwamba tumempoteza. Lakini we must also discover kwamba Mungu ametupatia akili ya kupasu na hizi mambo na kujua kuadd 1+1 ujue ni 2, so that you prevent crime before ifanyike kwa mtu mwingine.
Musyoka was last seen on the 11th of this month at the East African School of Aviation Tallying Center in Embakasi East. His badly mutilated body was then found on the 15th at Kilombero Forest in Oloitoktok, Kajiado County. The post-mortem results revealed that he was strangled to death and hit by a blunt object in the arm and legs. CCTV footage in the hands of police captured the late Musyoka talking to a boda operator in Tasia area before embarking on a 1.2-kilometer journey to Church Road, where he was last spotted. On Thursday, the 18th of August, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Nurin Haji, addressed a letter to the Inspector General of Police, Hilary Mutiambai, directing him to investigate Musyoka's murder and file a report by the 25th of this month. But as of now, no arrests have been made, including the boda operator captured on CCTV, who has since been identified by investigators as a possible suspect. The late 53-year-old Musyoka will be laid to rest on Friday, the 26th, in his rural home in Mwala, Machakos County. Elizabeth Atieno, TV 47.
Indeed, may justice be served. Now, insecurity victims who are displaced following persistent banditry attacks in Baringo County have continued to endure suffering months after fleeing from their homes. Education has since been affected, with many families struggling to feed their children, besides being exposed to unfavorable weather, posing health risks.
Following heightened banditry attacks in Yatia, Kagir and Kosile villages in Baringo County, these villages have been forced to camp miles away from their homes for their safety.
Tuliama December mpaka sai. Naelekea na 8 months. Tuko naishi na msituni na tena mvua na nyesha. Piote pio nguo hakuna. Nina hakuna kitu ya kuchika kwa nyumba, hata kitu ya kukalia, hata vitu ya kuweka hata nini.
These makeshift structures made using twigs and branches are now homes to over 100 families, where the young and the old are facing health risks since they have been exposed to harsh weather conditions.
Shida ile kuna ni njaa, hali ya mvua, baridi, hawana vitu ya kujitandikia malasi ya kama vitanda, kama blanketi, hema. The
latest spate of incidents of insecurity has also affected learning in the region, as learners keep off schools fearing for their safety.
Na watoto hata saa hii kuna watoto wanaishi tu bila kwenda shule. wamekuwa kwa muda mrefu, hawajui shule ni nini, hawajui hata kuongea, hata Kiswahili hawajui.
Area yetu tunataka amani na chakula. Tuko na shida ya chakula, hata school fees ni shida tupate school fees.
While appealing for well-wishers to intervene with any form of intervention, stakeholders have slammed the government for not taking responsibility over the life and property of the people in the troubled Kerio Valley.
I call upon all well-wishers, organizations, the church, the well-wishers, volunteers, medical institutions, to really come and help these people here.
Paul Munio, TV 47.
Moving on, President-elect William Ruto's Kenya Kwanza has now nominated the Alliance co-principal and Ford Kenya party leader Moses Wetangula to the position of Speaker of the National Assembly. However, the alliance is walking on a tightrope as a constitutional provision requiring Wetangula to resign first before contesting the National Assembly Speaker's post threatens to deny Kenya Kwanza Alliance the necessary numbers to secure the Senate Speaker seat. Now, Flora Limuki with more.
Even with a presidential petition looming at the Supreme Court to challenge the presidential election result, the Kenya Kwanza side is racing against time to put in place a governing structure that comes with control of key bodies like Parliament. And today, the Kenya Kwanza Alliance has nominated Bungoma Senator-elect Moses Wetangula for the Speaker's position in the National Assembly in a move seen as a tight balancing act for the Kenya Kwanza coalition.
We have unanimously agreed that the Speaker nominee for the National Assembly for the Kenya Kwanza coalition shall be one Moses Masika Wetangula.
Wetangula faces a tough balancing act as he will resign but still lose in the Speaker's race since neither camp has absolute numbers to guarantee a win. It is a scenario that had sent the president-elect back to the drawing board and has now roped in Mandera Senator-elect Ali Roberts' United Democratic Movement Party, which has 2 Senate seats and is also set to get to a nomination slot.
So again, to my UDM brothers and sisters, karibuni sana. This is your home. As you have said, you are back home. Karibuni sana. You know where every space is. You know where the kitchen is. You know where every place is. And therefore, you don't need any orientation around here.
Na sisi UDM tumerudi with a very serious hand that is extremely significant. That is the beginning of nailing the coffin of Azimio on that other side.
President-elect William Ruto's side has a slim 24-23 majority in the Senate, which means that they could lose the Senate Speaker's position if the Azimio side manages to lobby for just 1 vote in the secret ballot for the position.
So even Jubilee members listening to us, because your party leader has shifted to another party, please come. So Jubilee members, please come.
To confirm to you that you are joining the majority coalition in both houses of parliament.
Today's move comes amid reports that the Kenya Kwanza wing could be courting Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka to jump ship for the National Assembly Speaker position to avoid a possible gamble that could be costly to the alliance. Flora Limuki, TV 47.
Now, the Alliance co-principal and Ford Kenya party leader Moses Wetangula was fronted for the Speaker of National Assembly seat and not what was stated earlier. Now, still on political chess, a tug of war is brewing over who will be in charge of the Capital's Assembly as Azimio la Umoja allied parties fight for the Assembly's leadership positions. Jubilee and ODM are fighting between pre-election agreements and a majority of MCAs, as Paul Kirobi now tells us.
The battle over the control of the Nairobi County Assembly is threatening to be a messy affair, with affiliate parties within the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya faction bracing for sibling rivalry. The issue at the heart of the scuffle is the Speaker's position, with main parties in the Azimio wing, Jubilee and ODM, fronting Harrison Wangoro and Ken Ngondi, respectively, for the influential position.
Next week tukiapishwa, Speaker wa Nairobi atakuwa mwanaazimio.
Azimio.
Deputy Speaker atakuwa mwanaazimio.
Azimio.
Chairmans wote watakuwa wanaazimio.
Azimio.
Deputy Chairs wote watakuwa wanaazimio.
Azimio.
Out of a majority of 46 MCAs elected on Azimio allied parties, Jubilee has 6 MCAs, Wiper has 5, and ODM has 35. This against a total number of 85 elected MCAs in Nairobi, a scenario that makes ODM issue express demands of the Speaker's position. On the other hand, UDA has 36 MCAs, while Chama cha Kazi, which is affiliated with Kenya Kwanza, has 1 MCA. In addition, the Nairobi County Assembly will also have 2 independent MCAs.
Ati Jubilee Party wametoa candidate wa speaker. Hiyo ni uongo na hiyo ni fake letter. Hiyo nataka kusisitiza kama mmoja wa wakubwa ambaye wako wa Jubilee na mtu ambaye amechaguliwa na Jubilee ticket. Asanteni.
These numbers could, however, change after residents of Kwanjenga and Utawala wards go to the ballot to choose their MCAs. This after the elections in the areas were postponed by the IEBC. The members are on lobbying mode as ODM is putting its best foot forward to ensure they have a huge say in the county affairs, especially with Secretary General Edwin Sifuna at the Senate and Esther Passaris as the county woman representative. This means that Governor-elect Johnson Sakaja could have a hard time steering the capital and entrenching the UD agenda.
We are the majority coalition, and therefore we shall ensure that the business of Azimio la Umoja is carried out in assembly effectively and perfectly.
Some of the issues on top of Sakaja's entry is the way forward of the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, which then Azimio gubernatorial candidate Polycarp Igathe had pledged to bring back after the lapsement of its tenure, October 24th. Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
Moving on, family and friends of the late Brian Olunga are calling for justice for their kin who was allegedly shot to death by Kimilili MP-elect Didmas Baraza on the night of the election day in Chebukwasi polling station. Baraza, who is in custody at the Bungoma police station, has so far refuted the allegations. Stanley Nyaringita with more.
A somber mood engulfed the village of Samitsi in Malava constituency, Kakamega County. The body of 21-year-old Brian Olunga was laid to rest in the presence of close family, friends and politicians. Kakamega gubernatorial candidate Fernandez Baraza took to the podium to urge the police to hasten the process of probing the case.
It was not justified at all to take the life of this young man. Kwa hivyo kama viongozi, and I want to take the leadership kusema ya kwamba we want the law to take its course. Kwa sababu this is pure murder.
Olunga, who was the aide to former Kimilili MP aspirant Brian Haemba, was allegedly shot in the head by the MP-elect Didmas Baraza in Chebukwasi polling station on the 9th of August.
I know justice is going to happen. Now Brian will be served vizuri penye yako. Let him rest in peace.
Sisi tunataka justice. Justice ifanywe kwa Odinga. Odinga alikuwa msempoa. Imagine amekufa kako young. 21 years old. Ana mkid, ana wife, hivyo tu aje. Si kama youths mtupe justice. Tunataka justice.
Odinga amekufa. Tunasikia kesi bado iko kotini. Chenye ningeomba tu serikali. Kama wanasema kuna justice, acha niaminie kupitia kwa Odinga. Justice ifanyike mazee.
Yes.
Tunaumia.
On Tuesday, Bungoma Law Court ordered Baraza to remain in custody at the Bungoma polling station for 10 days to allow for investigations to continue. Baraza, who was vying under a UDA ticket, has so far denied the allegations. Stanley Nyaringita, TV47, Nairobi.
Now on to school fires, as Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has announced that parents will have to bear the burden of losses caused by fire tragedies in schools. According to Magoha, this has been a way of students avoiding exams in schools. This follows a recent incident in Kisumu Boys High School where 3 dormitories and 4 classes were razed down by fire. However, on the Principal Secretary's side, Julius John, investigations into the matter will determine who will pay for the destruction cost. Chapter Boyd with the details.
Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has today stated that parents will be forced to dig deeper into their pockets to pay for losses resulting from fire tragedies in schools. His instructions come hours after an inferno razed down 4 classes and 3 dormitories in Kisumu Boys High School, affecting 250 students but with no injuries.
The problem is with the parents at home. If you think that by banning the school you will not do exams, you must not be wise, because we'll do exams under the trees and the parents will rebuild it.
Even at the moment, we will not be able to say exactly what is the extent of the damage, but we know there are classes that have been damaged, there are dormitories that have been damaged, but no life lost and no casualties so far. That's the good part of it.
I cannot clearly say what the cause of fire is, but I can say this started from the rooftop, because the first people who saw this are the people who saw the smokes billowing out. And when the place, the smoke had gathered so much, you didn't want to risk anybody into getting the dorm section.
Magoha's sentiments have, however, clashed with those of his Principal Secretary Julius John, who has stated that investigations into the matter will determine who will carry the burden of the loss. Speaking after visiting the school earlier today, John has indicated that investigation into the root cause of the fire is ongoing.
The ministry does not come in until we know what caused the fire. If, for example, the fire is caused by learners, we don't put in any money. So that is why we must wait for the investigations to be complete. We know what caused the fire, and then we see what comment to make.
According to the Ministry of Education, the school will not be closed following the destruction. Kisumu Boys High School has a capacity of 2,300 students, with 300 being day scholars. Chapter Boyd, TV 47.
Moving on, members of the minority Nubian community in Kibra are decrying the long vetting process they have to undergo before getting national IDs. The chairperson of the Nubian Rights Forum, Shafi Hussein, has accused the outgoing government of placing unnecessary hurdles in the way of young Nubians seeking IDs.
As Kenyans flocked to polling stations on Tuesday, August 9th, millions of young people across the country did not show up to vote, sparking widespread voter apathy. But here in Kibra, Nairobi, some young people from the Nubian community tell me that they wanted to vote, but they could not, simply because they did not have national ID cards.
Udhaifa Musa is one of the young people in Kibra who have been trying to get an ID card for months without success. At 22 years old, Musa says he has been vetted multiple times by the government, but close to 2 years since he first applied, his ID card is yet to come.
Nika-apply na nini ya madrasa, nikapewa mpaka waiting. Hiyo ni after nime-apply ID, imeshakaa 1 year, nimefanya vetting 5. After nikaletewa hao sewani, kuna mama wanisa alikuja akani-interrogate, akaniuliza maswali, akauliza mpaka guardian wangu maswali, akapeana report yake, wakakubaliana kunipea waiting. Wakanipea waiting after 1 year tena, after 8 months nikakuwa naongoja idea itoki.
Shafi Ali Hussein has been fighting for the rights of the Nubian community in Kibra since the early 2000s. He says it takes at least 5 times longer for young Nubians to get national IDs compared to other Kenyans living in Kibra, something he says has prevented many from voting in the just concluded general elections. This is in sharp contrast to their Shona community counterparts who were granted Kenyan citizenship sooner. They reportedly have an easier time getting their IDs.
National vetting consists of the NRB guys,
the intelligent guys, the CIDs, the police, the local administration, and all of those guys are asking that one youth questions.
For a Nubian, you need both parents' ID, grandparents' ID, vetting elders' affidavits, and any other document that the registrar might ask.
The 100,000-strong Nubian community were brought to Kenya in 1900 by the British Army to help them secure Kenya. In the late 1970s, some Nubians were able to receive ID cards and birth certificates, but the situation gradually changed as the population increased. The 2019 census shows that there are over 20,000 members of the Nubian minority group in Kibra, and many of them have to undergo rigorous vetting processes before getting national identity cards, something the Nubian Rights Forum led by Shafi opposes. They believe the government is profiling them. Medina Ahmed is a mother of one who has been waiting for her ID card for over 8 months now. She says she's on the cusp of giving up since multiple visits to the Huduma Center where she applied have borne no fruits.
Pia kuna wengine tu bado wako. Mfano rafiki yangu alikaa 11 months ndio ikatoka. Pia alikuwa azunguka tu mimi nazungushwa tu hivyo kitema naambiwa bado. Hadi una give up. Kila time ukienda unaambia tu bado na give up narudi tena. Tunasema tena kaangalia tena next month ukienda unaambia tu bado. Na wale apply na wao walishapata.
Shafi shows me legal documents of all the cases of Nubians like Musa and Medina who come to him seeking help to get their ID cards. He hopes the incoming government will make it easier for young Nubians to get ID cards by shortening the vetting process or scrapping it off altogether. Our efforts to seek for a comment from the Immigration Ministry remain futile as the official emails we sent to the department remain unanswered.
The reason given by the government for the slow, long and often rigorous process of giving IDs to members of the Nubian community in Kibra is that there's need to make sure there is security and to weed out any criminal elements trying to gain citizenship into the country. But as members of the Nubian community here in Kibra tell me, the lack of IDs and the long processes that prevent young people to get IDs here is the same reason that causes these young people to revert back to crime. Waris Kimathi, TV47 in Kibra.
It's time to get sporty as the national women's netball team, Kenya Divas, has received a major financial boost from the National Olympics Committee of Kenya, which sponsored the team ahead of the Africa Cup 2022 netball competition campaign slated for 20th to 29th August this year in Pretoria, South Africa. The team of 12 athletes and 5 officials will be looking to secure the top 2 slots in the competition as they hope to qualify into the Netball World Cup 2023, which will also be held in Cape Town, South Africa. Speaking during their sponsorship at the NOK-K headquarters, the national women's netball team head coach Joseph Makau stated that the team is adequately prepared for the task, adding that their major task